This is where it all started for me, really. Some of my most profound experiences that I've ever had happened right here in this town. Some of the people that experienced those things with me refused to come back, even family members. I mean, family members that I'm really close to refused to come back to this town because of some of the terrifying things that happened. So it's really surreal being back here, and it's, I'm kind of apprehensive about the whole thing just because I don't know what to expect.
All the locals that I talk to, like you said, they all have a ghost story, and it seems like everybody is okay with their ghost story. Like everybody's got a positive spin on their ghost story except for people when they talk about the Poly Jail. It's the only place in town that everyone feels is a negative space. So I've actually set up some interviews with a few of the locals for you guys to take care of.
All right, that's Joyce at Josephine.
So, we're sitting in the Josephine. It's one of the many beautiful buildings here in Union Springs, and I've heard a lot of stories from you. I've heard stories from a few other residents here, and it seems like every resident here seems to have their own twist of a ghost story. Even maybe they're living with one, maybe they own a property that has one, but it all seems to seem pretty common. Yeah, would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's an older town. The streets that you're on right now, there's 46 buildings on the historic register, so they're all around 1900 and before on the street. Some of them have been rebuilt, but most of them are before or after 1900.
So do you think it's just the history here that would cause so much possible paranormal activity, or have that kind of aspect about life?
Well, it's an old town. There's close to 140 of the old buildings, houses still standing. Some of them are antebellum, and a lot of them are Victorian. And so they lend themselves to have several families and several generations there.
What is your take on it? On the idea of a ghost or spirit or paranormal activity in general?
Well, I've been around. When I was first in the Air Force years ago, I was at an Air Force base out in Wyoming, and it was actually an old barracks from from the Civil War, and they said they had ghosts there. And I used to work night shift, and you could hear them in the hallway. You could hear soldiers from time to time. So it's not an unusual occurrence in my mind, right, in an old building.
So you actually, before even coming to Union Springs, have had your own experiences.
Many years ago.
Okay. Me and Shane, we have a strange connection with this place. Our relationship has kind of evolved from this place. The growing consensus seems to be that people are hesitant about the Poly Jail.
Well, the Poly Jail carries a lot of negative history, of course, it being a jail. And, of course, not the pristine people ended up in the jail. And the jail was built the time period that this hotel was, but there was no heating or air conditioning. There was no food service. It had to be brought in. When you went to jail in that period, you went to jail. And, of course, people who had to go to jail, obviously, if they could avoid sending them there, they did. So they weren't the nicest people in the world, and they probably had done some of the lower life type things that you would see in society.
Yeah, so it took a lot to get you in a prison that, like that, right?
Right.
You had to have really done something.
And when you got there, you were not happy. There wasn't air conditioning or TV. You had a little room, and you may have had it by yourself. Unlikely. You were with other people. So, no, I think if you went to jail back in those days, you really went to jail.
What can you tell me about the history of Poly Jail?
The Poly Jail, as it is now, is a museum. It was constructed in 1897. It's the third jail. The others have One of them was actually destroyed in a storm, but the other one was replaced. And it was the Pauley Jail Company that built it, and it's all metal on the inside. And one unique feature, it has a trap door, a metal door that you can throw a lever and down you would go if you were to be hung there. However, there's been no official hanging at the jail, but there have been people that have died there.
Now, are there stories of people being hanged there?
There have been people that have died in the jail. One of the most notable one was Aberdeen Johnson, who was taken out of the jail in April of 1911 and lynched about a half mile away from the jail.
Okay, and why was he lynched? What was the story surrounding Aberdeen?
Well, the story began in Pike County or Crenshaw County area, where Aberdeen supposedly violated one of the Southern ladies there. And he escaped to this area. And he had gotten away with it until he went into the black community and stole from the black community. And one of the members of that community came to the sheriff and told him where Aberdeen was and helped locate him. And then the sheriff arrested him, put him in the jail, and at that time the people from Pike County learned of this, so they came in order to get Aberdeen. First, they locked up the sheriff at the back of the courthouse, didn't lock him up, I'm sorry, they handcuffed him to the rail. Then they went and got a blacksmith, I think the newspaper said under arms. They forced him to go and take the front door off. In fact, he had to take 3 doors down in order to get Aberdeen. So they go towards Pike County down what was the old Highway 29. And as they were marching, they got about that quarter of a mile, and someone shot Aberdeen in the hip. Of course, he began to bleed, and they didn't think that he would make it all the way. And they had also heard that the governor was sending the National Guard by train. Of course, that wasn't going to make it anytime soon, but they decided they would end it right there. So about where the old coal chute is, there were some trees there by the railroad, so they took Aberdeen there, and some people, some of the men, threw the rope over, adjusted the rope, and they pulled him up by his hands. They didn't pull him around his neck. But when they pulled him up, they asked anyone that felt like they had the right to shoot him. There were about 25 or 30 people from the Pike County, Crenshaw area that shot him. And they said he was hit about 150 times, to such an extent, and it sounds gruesome, that just his neck was hanging. Well, of course, before they did that, it's typical of lynching at that time, they castrated him before they pulled him up.
Some of my most impactful moments were here in Union Springs. I remember just right down that hall right here, I saw a full shadow person, full apparition. First time I've ever seen anything like that. It was right here in the Josephine. And then I've had other experiences at the Pauley Jail. Some of my first ones, I'll never forget it. Did you hear that? Did y'all hear that?
What
You didn't hear that shuffling right down there? Did you hear that?
No, but I thought I just heard a voice.
All right, I'm sorry.
Makes your hair stand on end.
Yeah.
From the top.
You
All
have
right.
evoked something.
I've evoked something, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely heard that one.
See, I'm telling you. So this was the first time that Ray has seen the Josephine. So we came up here because I was going to show him the first spot that I ever saw a full-bodied apparition, ever. It was here in the Josephine. And what do we see? It's freaking apparitions. Ray and Josh are running over to base camp right now, which is at the Pauley Jail, because that's where our gear's at and that's where we were going to be investigating, to get some gear so we can do somewhat of an investigation here. We can't ignore it.
I don't know. It doesn't feel right. So I don't. What the hell was that?
Did you hear that?
Did you just hear that?
Fucking
Scream.
woman
It
scream.
sounded like a woman screaming.
Didn't what I told you earlier? I heard a woman.
Yeah.
Hey, we heard a woman screaming. Can you let us know where you're at so we can help you?
It was a knock.
That might be the wind.
That's what I'm saying. These windows are rumbling from the wind.
Who was the woman that screamed just a few minutes ago?
Me, right off the bat. No one. Other than him.
What's your name?
Margaret?
How many of you are there here? I'm dead. Did you just hear that? It's in jail?
Bunch of different. Help.
Leave.
Help. Yeah,
Did you kill me? No, we didn't. We're trying to figure out who's here.
Can you give us a name?
Ooh, dude, I thought I just saw something out the corner of my eye. It could have been that shadow.
Beth?
help me.
What happened to you?
Hey, can we hear that scream one more time so we can know that you need our help?
That's me.
We need you to speak up. What is your name? Is your name Beth?
All right, so just so we know that we're communicating with somebody here, can you tell us somebody who died in the jail? Somebody that we've been talking about here today?
Do you hear that?
Sound like it said Bobby.
I thought I heard red.
Can you tell us that name one more time? We didn't hear you. Who got dragged out of the jail a long time ago and killed? Who was killed?
I heard Bobby again. I knew it.
Get him.
Who was killed? Who was taken from the jail and killed?
Johnson. I heard Johnson. I don't know. It sounded like Johnson. Can you tell us one more time who was killed that was at the jail?
Give us his first name.
No way that just happened.
Thank you.
No way that just happened. There's no way.
Well, there is, because it just happened.
Just happened.
Did you hear that?
Did you hear that stomp? Said
Bobby
Again.
It shows.
I know, me too. I was like,
Alabama.
So
what was that?
So Aberdeen was taken from the jail. Did he do it? Do you think he was guilty or not guilty?
He did do it.
No, I heard a girl say guilty.
Yeah, and then I heard he did do it right after too. Can you see Aberdeen? Is Aberdeen with you? Just me.
Can you tell us your name?
John.
Dead.
Can you tell us who the sheriff was at the jail?
Who's the sheriff now? Do you know the sheriff now?
Pretty boy.
Is that you?
Is that y'all?
Yeah, he was fixing something.
Can you tell us who owns this place right now? Did you just hear that in the male's voice? Joyce Perrin.
Oh, I did hear that.
Can you say that one more time clearly so I can hear you?
Excuse me.
Who owns this place? Who haunts the Poly jail?
Rock. Please. Do we need to go in that room?
Who's at the poly jail right now?
Vehicles?
Why are people scared of the poly jail? Is there something bad there? If we go there, is something bad gonna happen?
This is bad.
Evil. Is there evil at the poly jail? Who's evil there?
Is there evil here? Is there evil at the poly jail?
Evil.
Is it safe for us to go there? It's not. We just want to figure out who's there and why they're there.
Not a happy person.
Evil again. Evil again.
Are we safe at the poly jail?
All right, we're about to leave to go to the poly jail. Is there anything you want to tell us before we go?
Right.
Anything you want to tell us before we go?
Evil. Evil.
Are we going to see Aberdeen there?
That was kind of weird. I thought I heard like Aberdeen.
Are we going to see Aberdeen there?
Yep. Here. Bobby. Why do you keep calling Bobby's name? Yeah.
Why do you keep saying Bobby's name? He can't make it, is what I heard. Bobby. And the woman's voice. You heard that, didn't you?
It's said your name probably 10 times.
10 times, at least.
All right, so why are you saying Bobby's name? We need a clear answer. Why are you saying Bobby's name?
Bobby.
What about Bobby?
Is Bobby in any danger?
That's what it sounded like. Hold on. Who's after Bobby right now? I know who it is.
That was loud, dude.
Was that on this? Was that there or was that
Bastard. Did you hear that?
bastard?
Who's calling Bobby a bastard? That's what it sounded like.
Ooh, that is what it said.
It is.
It is.
Aberdeen. You got it.
You want to ask it?
Aberdeen! Y'all aren't gonna believe what I just heard then.
What?
You won't harm Bobby. There was a girl talking to...
Aberdeen's here.
I literally heard that exact same thing.
Aberdeen, are you here?
There it is.
Is Bobby in any danger right now?
Aberdeen, we can't let you do anything to him. Why do you want to hurt Bobby?
Say it. Say it.
I heard him say what he said.
What did he say?
You heard.
Tell us what he said.
We decided to show Ray the upstairs of the Josephine and kind of went down this big rabbit hole because of it. And, you know, off camera, one of our camera guys over here has been talking smack about Aberdeen Johnson, and I think he's got himself in a little bit of a pickle because now doing a spirit box session in the Josephine for some reason, we were getting Aberdeen's name and Bobby's name over and over.
Yeah, and then we were hearing evil, demonic, which kind of brings a whole new layer to all of this. Like, it's weird, especially when we mention the polygel, evil, demonic, Bobby, who's going to be over there, Aberdeen. I mean, it's uncanny. And, you know, with the spirit box, you know, it's scanning frequencies at such a fast rate, but to get the name Aberdeen,
It's not
That's
something
weird,
that's
man.
going to be on the radio.
That's weird.
well, especially at midnight or later.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to be hearing something like that in the same voice over multiple frequencies. There's no way.
And then to get Aberdeen and Johnson at two separate occasions.
Right.
And then how many times are we going to get Bobby's name? I mean, we probably got it 12 times by the end of it, you know.
Well, and what's interesting about that is normally you could say, okay, well, that's on a radio station, right? But it was different voices,
Yep.
male and female, saying it. That's really strange. And it was on different stations, scanning through different stations.
I'm a little concerned on multiple levels because why this place has nothing to do with Aberdeen that we know of, at least.
That we know of. But
Well,
it's right across the street.
It is, but
But like we've already established, this entire town seems
that's
to
true
have
too.
some sort of
But what is that? I mean,
and it's all got to be connected.
but it could be questions about maybe they know who Aberdeen is. Maybe somehow on their plane of existence, they do know them.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, in theory, they wouldn't be locked into our time. So what if it's
Right.
all interconnected with us 8 years ago? What if there's some situational thing between this place and there that they recognize
Yeah.
that dynamic?
But I'm also a little concerned because there's an obvious fixation with Bobby now. But then again, we knew stuff like that would happen. We know it can happen.
Right.
And it's just bizarre that it's happening here. We haven't even really started looking at the poly jail yet.
But a lot of the conversations have happened here, so a lot of the information has been fed through us being over here.
Right. So we did our interviews and everything over here.
Yeah, like are we just a conduit for the conversation maybe?
Well, and Bobby was over here.
Yeah.
We were having discussions off camera about the poly jail, about here.
Did they learn that through those
Could they
conversations?
be hearing
maybe?
us? I mean, are these constructs, these walls, do they even mean anything?
Do they even mean anything?